I posted my fiance's brand new $5,000 wedding dress on Facebook Marketplace for $250 the night before our wedding. My fiance and I had been planning our wedding for over 14 months. From the very beginning, we sat down and drew up a strict 50-50 agreement. We were young, and a big wedding wasn't easy, so we both had to make sacrifices. I completely unplugged from my hobbies for a whole year. I sold my dirt bike, canceled my gym membership, and didn't buy a single new piece of clothing for 12 months, just to put an extra $800 a month into our wedding fund. She was supposed to be doing the exact same thing with her corporate salary, building her private savings so we could clear the catering and venue bills the morning after the ceremony. 3 weeks ago, she told me her dress alone was $5,000 and that her savings were temporarily locked up in a high-yield certificate. She asked me to put the dress on my personal credit card, promising we would sit down, look at her accounts, and divide the bills evenly the second the wedding was over. Because I loved her and trusted her completely, I didn't hesitate. I swiped my card for the $5,000 designer gown, filed the receipt, and left it hanging in the guest bedroom closet. But last night, less than 24 hours before our guests were scheduled to arrive at the venue, her iPad was sitting on the kitchen counter, buzzing constantly with text notifications. I picked it up to turn off the sound, but my eyes caught a name I hadn't seen in years. It was her ex-boyfriend. I opened the message thread, and my heart completely dropped into my stomach. There were bank transfer screenshots. Over the last 6 months, she hadn't been saving a single penny for our wedding. She had transferred a total of $12,000 of her income directly to him. I stood there in the quiet kitchen, trembling as I confronted her the moment she walked through the front door. I showed her the screen and asked how she could completely drain the money meant for our future together. She didn't look guilty at all. She didn't even try to apologize. She just set her keys down, sighed heavily, and looked at me like I was the one being unreasonable. He had a bad motorcycle accident, she said, her voice completely casual. His medical bills were piling up, and absolutely nobody else in his life would help him. I couldn't just sit back and watch him ruin his credit when he begged me for help. Besides, it's my money anyway, so it's really no big deal. I know you can figure out the remaining wedding costs on your own. You're the man. I know you'll make it work. Hearing those words broke something deep inside me. The image of my sold dirt bike, the 12 months of eating basic lunches, and the long hours I worked to cover her luxury dress flashed through my mind. She was spending my sacrifices on her ex while expecting me to just absorb the debt because I was the man. I didn't scream. I didn't argue. A cold, calculated silence came over me. I just nodded, walked out of the bedroom, and closed the door behind me. I sat on the living room couch at midnight, opened my phone, and took 3 clear photos of the $5,000 designer dress hanging in the closet. I opened Facebook Marketplace, set the location to our neighborhood, and typed in the price, $250. In the description, I wrote one single sentence: must pick up before 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Within 20 minutes, my inbox exploded with hundreds of messages from desperate brides. I picked a woman who said she was getting married in a small courthouse ceremony and told her the dress was hers if she showed up at exactly 8:30 a.m. with cash. At 8 o'clock this morning, the house was quiet. The hair and makeup team hadn't arrived yet, but my fiancé was up, sitting at the kitchen island in her white bridal silk, sipping tea. At exactly 25 after 8, a silver SUV pulled up to our curb. A young, nervous-looking woman stepped out and walked up our driveway. My fiancé looked out the window, completely confused, and asked if we were expecting a delivery this early on our wedding day. I didn't say a single word. I walked into the guest bedroom, grabbed the massive, heavy garment bag containing her wedding dress, and carried it straight down the hallway. My fiancé's eyes went wide as I opened the front door. The young woman outside smiled, tears literally welling up in her eyes, and handed me 5 crisp $50 bills. I handed her the gown, thanked her, and closed the wooden door. The silence in our house was completely deafening. My fiancé stood frozen in the middle of the kitchen, her face completely white, staring at the empty space where her dress used to be. Her hands were shaking so violently, she couldn't even hold her teacup. She looked at the $250 in my hand, then looked into my eyes, completely paralyzed by the realization of what had just happened. I tossed the cash on a kitchen island, right next to her tea. I looked at her with total calm, my voice steady and quiet. Since you told me that giving away thousands of dollars behind my back is no big deal, I figured you wouldn't mind me doing the same thing. You said I'm the man and I can figure it out, so I figured out how to pay off the dress I bought. You can call your ex to bring you something to wear today because the wedding is officially canceled.